If you're hoarding those coins and holding out for a really good trial offer to see what PC Game Pass has to offer, you might be in luck. We'll tell you how you could get nearly half a month of the subscription service for free.
Oh, it's an old-fashioned Xbox Palooza here, because we'll also be talking about what happened with Redfall, the latest interview from Phil Spencer, and what's coming soon. We got a big show. Buckle up. It's time for Gaming News Weekly. Gaming News Weekly is back. The best weekly video game news show out there is here. Every single Monday, we're coming to you on Fruit Lab, YouTube, podcast services everywhere, bringing you all the biggest things happening in the video game industry. My name is Erek the Red, joined by Full Clip. What is going on?
Yo, what's up? You know, it's like you blink your eyes and you're back in front of the camera doing another Gaming News Weekly, but all the week's gaming news has changed completely.
It does feel like that. It's just the same, this is it's the same thing, but with new, exciting stuff.
Absolutely.
And we get to share this moment together. That's what really matters, right?
Right. Doing good. So how are you?
I'm good. I'm very much looking forward to the weekend, getting some video gaming, getting some, beer drinking in. But,
yeah. So you're still with the splint. How much longer do you have that on?
I could take it off like whenever, but it definitely so it kind of like holds my like wrist in place, because like if it pushes too hard in one direction, it hurts. So I take it off every once in a while, but a couple more weeks probably with this thing on. So we'll see.
So you can sneak in some gaming sessions here and there.
Oh, I absolutely do. Yeah, this is not an issue anymore as far as gaming. So, so I'm open. I'm doing it all.
Nice.
Well, when I could find something worth checking out. I've been like I've been playing a lot lately. So I'm like coming back from, I had that cast. So now I'm just trying to find something to sink my teeth into. I started the Star Wars game, the Jedi Fallen Order or whatever.
Yeah.
The last one, not the brand new one, the first one that I got for $4 on Steam. What a deal, by the way. And I'm loving this game. I absolutely am having a blast. I didn't realize it was like it's kind of got some like Souls-like elements to it as far as like the mechanics of the game. So that's a blast. I started playing Doki Doki Literature Club. You ever heard of this game?
Yeah.
Have you played it?
No.
So yeah, it's like 4 hours. It's like a visual novel type situation. I'm about halfway through. Can't wait to see what happens with these broads. And then mostly though, I've been playing a lot of the new Minecraft Legends game.
Really? Getting into it?
Yeah. So my kid, like I talked about before, he loves the idea of Minecraft. He's not like really great at it, but he gets in there in the creative mode and just messes around. So we started playing this Legends game, and man, it is a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun, and he's like surprisingly good at it. It gets to points where like you got to do a lot of multitasking, and that's when he'll like throw the controller at me and be like, "Daddy, do it! You got to do it!" And but yeah, it's really interesting. I'm like very much a novice to the entire Minecraft world, but I like how I don't have to like mine for resources. I just like click on an area and it collects it all for me. And then, even then, like you go to like a village that you've already saved and they just have it all just waiting for you. You don't have to mine anything most of the time. So,
yeah, so that's interesting. Fun. I was going to say, it's a very different game from regular Minecraft. I don't know if there is any parallel to creative mode in this. It's like a real-time strategy. So it takes a lot to do it. Did you have like did you have to use the controller most of the time?
Yeah. So it's all we're playing on the Xbox, and no, but he's surprisingly like I'm shocked. I'm sitting there like watching him. Like we don't play Xbox that often, So the button mapping, it's telling him to hit X and Y. Where
Okay.
he was a PlayStation, but he's like, I'm shocked. He's like whipping it out. He's like creating all these things and like
Nice.
doing. And I was like, all right, it's my boy. He's a gamer. So
Yeah,
I've
you're
had a
gonna
lot
have
of
to.
pride this
You're
last
gonna have
week.
to force him back into survival mode on Minecraft and give him one more chance.
Yeah, well,
Trial by fire.
he was doing that today, and all he was doing, he was just he was trying to cover like an entire world in lava. That was all he was doing.
Fair
enough. Yeah, just spawning lava everywhere, and then like it's funny. He was like, there was a I don't know, something like a bear that was like trapped, surrounded by lava, and he's like, "I'll save you," and he just like dropped down, and he just started beating it with a, with a sword. I'm like, okay. Should I be worried?
Got to put that
know.
fire out.
Exactly. Yes, but so I've been busy. I've been real busy. What about you? Anything fun?
I haven't really gotten into anything new this week. We talked about Cassette Beasts last week.
Oh,
this week, I've kind of fallen back into Red Dead Online.
Okay, yeah, that's one you could always kind of get back into.
Oh yeah,
out there.
Yeah, well, played
some bad guys.
Played the crap out of it on PlayStation, but I had to kind of start over playing on PC. So I don't have the thousands of dollars and the 100 gold bars that I had accumulated over there when I was no life in it after it came out. So it's a new adventure in some ways. They haven't added a whole lot to the game since I last played, but there are some new roles, new outfits. That's about it.
Gotcha. Yeah, that sounds fun. It was one of those online things that I always wanted to try and just never either got the opportunity or, really most of the time when I do one of those, it's like, cause I have a group of friends, it's like, hey, come do this with us. And like that just never happened. So,
oh yeah.
I always I love watching the videos or like videos that you post or whatever, playing it. It looks like it's just a blast to just ride the open range.
Oh yeah.
And do weird stuff, because that's most of the videos. It's just like people just like doing dumb stuff.
Pretty much trolling your friends, trolling the NPCs.
Yeah. All right. Well, should we get this show on the road?
We better do it.
All right, let's do it. Let's talk about our new releases from last week. All right, first up, we got to talk about Redfall. Came out May 2nd on PC and Xbox X and S. We've talked about this one quite a bit since it was announced a while back. Developed by Arcane Studios. They did Prey, Dishonored, published by Bethesda. And, this was going to be one of the big pillars of Xbox's new, their climb to power. It's a first-person shooter. It's like you can play single-player co-op. You attack vampires. You kill vampires. That's the premise. It sounded cool. It's ability based, so you got 4 different characters, each have different abilities. Sounded really cool, right?
Yeah.
I was hyped for it, and then it came out, and it is not good. It's not good at all. It's very, I guess, like there's a lot of issues in the way that it's optimized. I know we talked about it recently that it's, it was shown in 60 frames per second, released 30 frames per second.
Yeah.
That's just one of the things. But on top of that, the gameplay is flawed. It's boring. It's made up of fetch quests, terrible AI, and just like it's just not a good game. It doesn't have the heart that everybody was hoping for or expect from this game. One saving grace is that the co-op. I've heard the co-op can be fun if you could get out there with a few of your friends and go in there, and it's as fun as you'll make it in those situations. But yeah, it's unfortunate how this played out. It's at a 62 on Metacritic. I tried to play it. I tried to get into it today, and you need to have a Bethesda account to get into the game. So I got to that part, and I'm like, I must have a Bethesda account, and I tried to log in, and it's like, no, you don't know your password. So I'm like, all right. So I reset my password. They're like, all right, we're going to send you. First of all, this screen itself I'm playing on Xbox, and it's super janky. Like the cursor like moves randomly to different spots. My email kept deleting, so it was very frustrating. So I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to go on to Bethesda's site and do the forget your password thing there. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to send you an email. I never got an email
Wow.
to reset my password.
Probably
Still,
so many people trying to do the same exact
yeah.
thing at the same time.
So I don't know if it was a blessing that I, didn't get a chance to get in there and try this. I don't know, but I still want to see what all the fuss is about. I want to be in the moment and see what's going on. So I'll try it again, but I don't expect to really enjoy it from everything that I've heard.
Yeah, that's always an annoyance when you have to have an extra account here or there. It didn't seem to be that way on console, at least not from my memory, but it's been a couple years now. I thought that was more of a PC thing, but if it's in the console space too, more suck.
Dude, it's ridiculous, this shit. Like, having to have, like, this account for everything. Even, like, so when I'm playing that Star Wars game on the Steam Deck, I gotta, like, there's this janky EA launcher. Like, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'll take 5 minutes to try to get into this game because it keeps crashing. And it's like, why does every publisher need to have their own launcher? It's so ridiculous. It's so frustrating. And then on top of that, having these different accounts you need to sign into. Like, I can't just play a game. I sound like an old man right now, but I am an old man.
It's 100% valid. When you click on the game to start playing it, you should probably be able to start playing it.
Yes, exactly. But one of the threads that's going to go throughout this entire episode of Gaming News Weekly is this recent interview with Phil Spencer. It just happened. It was on the Kind of Funny's Xcast podcast, and he talked about a lot of things that have happened recently with Xbox. And one of them, right on the heels of the release of this poorly reviewed Redfall. So I want to read a couple quotes from Phil Spencer. I thought everything that he talked about was really interesting, and he didn't really shy away from any topics, and he was very truthful, it seemed. But here, this is talking about Redfall. It says, there's nothing that's more difficult for me than disappointing the Xbox community, and just to watch the community lose confidence, be disappointed. I'm disappointed. I'm upset with myself. We'll revisit our process back to the announcement of 60 frames per second, and then we weren't shipping 60 frames per second. That was our punch in the chin, rightfully, a couple weeks ago. The critical response was not what we wanted. I will pick myself up. What can we learn? How can we be better? One thing I'll fight is what went wrong. There's clearly quality and execution things we can do, but one thing I won't do is push against creative aspirations of our teams. I'm a huge supporter of Arcane Austin. Their track record is awesome. I love a lot of their games that they've built. They didn't hit their own internal goals when it launched. I think it's maybe a little simplistic to say if you would have just delayed it 3 months, the core creative of that game would have delivered on something that was different than what it was. So he did say then after that, I don't have the quote, but he does talk about how a delay would not have changed that creative part of it. He's like, that's the issue. It was not like we could have delayed it further and maybe fixed that 30 frames per second issue or some of the other things. But the problem with the game, from what everybody's saying, is with the core gameplay. The game has no heart, no soul. It's just really simplistic and boring. So I thought that was very interesting. He also said a few things about how he that they could have helped more when they got Bethesda. Arcane was already pretty far into the building of Redfall. So he says that one of the issues, well, I'll read the quote. When we acquire studios, there are games that are in development, and then there's things that are either really early in development or not even conceived yet. I think we need to improve in engaging with games that are midway through production when they become part of Xbox. We didn't do a good job early on in engaging Arcane Austin to really help them understand what it meant to be part of Xbox and part of first party, and use some of our internal resources to help them move along that journey even faster. We left them to work on the game. So, yeah, so he's, taking partial responsibility for Arcane's, release of a not good game. especially a game that was supposed to be a tentpole in this big push that they're in the middle of here. So
yeah. I mean, he can say that a delay wouldn't have helped certain things, but I mean, we see games that are being delayed potentially for years at the moment because they need to be retooled because certain aspects of the game just aren't fun or creative or some combination. But at the same time, they probably internally, Microsoft this is, want to put as much space between Redfall and Starfield as they can so they're not competing with themselves and to keep Xbox Game Pass subscriptions up. So even if this needed a few more months, they probably wouldn't have given it to them. Not sure.
Yeah, I do wonder that because they, again, another thing that Phil Spencer talks about in this interview is that they have a plan for a big game every quarter, and this was supposed to be one of them. They want a huge game every single quarter that's going to draw people to the service, draw people to Xbox, and this was a failure. It didn't work out the way that they hoped. They're still going to support the game. They're working on a patch to bring in 60 frames per second, and they're going to continue to tweak things along the way. But again, one of the other issues is this was one of the first like $70 titles, and it does not warrant that price tag. So not a good start for this whole agenda that Xbox had, trying to get people in on Game Pass as far as like these Bethesda games and that sort of thing. But we're going to talk about more of this when we get into the news. So let's move things along. Let's talk about Super Dungeon Maker. This came out May 3rd on PC and Nintendo Switch. This looks pretty cool. It's a 16-bit like SNES style top-down like dungeon creator. It's basically like Zelda Maker. It's like
it's a game engine in itself.
Yeah. So you get to create all these dungeons with different items in there, and enemies, and traps, and switches, and hidden things, and then you could put them out there, and you can play other dungeons, and there's different themes, different difficulties. It looks really interesting. I think it's a fun idea. It's not my thing. I don't like to make stuff. I'm not good at making stuff, but I like to play stuff.
Yeah, and there's a big community out there for people who love like Super Mario Maker and the RPG Maker series.
Yeah, they always make things like impossible. Like those, like, you ever watch those people playing those Mario games where it's just like you have to, like, everything has to be like perfect.
It gets wild.
Yeah, it does. So this is a great idea. I'm interested to see what people make in this one, and maybe I'll check it out somewhere down the line. And then last up, Darkest Dungeon 2 came out on May the 8th be with you. It was in early access on PC for since 2021, available through Epic, and now it is full release on PC everywhere. It's turn-based role-playing game. It's a sequel to the 2016 game, which everybody was a big fan. I mean, not everybody. Role-playing game fans loved this game, and I never got to try it, and I've always wanted to. And now, now that I have my Steam Deck, this is the perfect opportunity. So what I love about it is all the classes. Now, this one has even more classes than the first one. 16 classes total, and like weird stuff too, like the Plague Doctor and the Leper. So it's really interesting. And then they have like this, it's called the Affliction system, and you could get your character gets stressed out, and the more stress they have, the less synergy they have with the rest of your party. So it's a really interesting idea. I'm excited to see what that is. I had a friend play it, loved the game, so it's on my wish list.
Nice. From the trailer, it looks really cool. Not sure if it's my cup of tea though. Do you think you'd be able to play it on the Steam Deck?
Oh yeah. I think was the first one on the Nintendo Switch? I don't know. The first one was somewhere. I don't remember. But I remember thinking at one point, I was like, man, I really want to check this out. Just because of the dark. It's got that like dark, like Bloodborne kind of aesthetic to it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, now it's out for everybody. no longer do you just need an early access epic version of this game. It's out there. And that was it. Those are our major releases from this past week. I think it's time to talk some news. You ready?
Ready.
News of the week. All right, it has been a rough week for Xbox. Rough couple of weeks, really, between the CMA blocking the Activision deal, Redfall, like we talked about. But hopefully, things can turn around for them. They officially announced the Xbox Games Showcase. It's coming June 11th. And then immediately following that, the Starfield Direct showing a bunch about Starfield. So, I'm excited to see what is going to be announced here at this showcase. Like, I feel like especially now, after Redfall, like they gotta come huge, right?
Yeah.
Like, and Starfield needs to be amazing.
Yes. And it's a Bethesda game, but that means two things. It's going to be amazing in some ways. It's going to be buggy as hell in other ways.
Yeah, and hopefully, more on the amazing side, because they need a win. But it's got me excited more so for this showcase now, because I'm hoping that they need to pull out some big dogs. Now, I don't know what those big dogs are going to be. There's a lot of games that are being worked on. I mean, we haven't seen anything about Indiana Jones since that was shown, or Gear 6. What else? Hellblade 2 is in there. Outer Worlds 2. I know and then even like we haven't seen anything about Fable, the new Fable, since that was announced, or even like Forza. Forza's been pretty quiet. So there's a lot of possibilities that can be shown at this thing, and I'm hoping that we get all of them. Perfect Dark, we got that announcement at the last one, and haven't seen anything from that. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that could be shown. So show it all.
Yeah, I mean, if we do see a lot of those, I think they're going to be kind of early in the development. I think with what was Outer Worlds 2, they said not that long ago when we talked about it that it was going to be a while. Like, they just kind of had the idea that they were going to make a sequel, and that's about as far in as they are.
Right. Yeah. So it was again, we're going to weave in some Phil Spencer things here and there. One thing that he said, talking about Starfield, what we're doing, he says, I see the commentary that if you just build great games, everything will turn around. It's just not true that if we go off and build great games, all of a sudden you're going to see console share shift in some dramatic way. We lost the worst generation to lose in the Xbox One generation, where everybody built their digital library of games. We want our Xbox community to feel awesome, but this idea that if we just focus more on great games on our console, that somehow we're going to win the console race doesn't really lay into the reality of most people. There is no world where Starfield is an 11 out of 10 and people start selling their PS5s. That's not going to happen. So that being said, what else could they do besides having some amazing games that would get people like hyped? What, like Game Pass stuff, or
seems to be the way to go,
right? I think they're focusing a lot on
horizon.
Yeah, a new Kinect, maybe
that should do it.
So again, here we go. Back to Philly boy. The console is the core of the Xbox brand. There's no doubt. We'll stay focused on making sure that console experience is awesome, but I know some people want to hold us up as being a better green version of what the blue guys do. And I'm just going to say there's not a win for Xbox by staying in the wake of somebody else. We have to go off and do our own thing with Game Pass, the stuff we do with xCloud, and the way we build our games. So yeah, he's aware they're not winning the games race, with when you're dealing with you got God of War and Spider-Man and Last of Us, and then Redfall, and then this is what
even just a minute ago when you listed off the Xbox projects, I forgot about half of those, and almost none of them get me very excited.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. So I want a win for Microsoft. You know, they definitely they definitely deserve one, man. They've been through a lot. So hopefully, you know, something can turn around. I know they even want. So you talked about it in the intro, this PC gamers thing. They're trying to get people into the PC Game Pass by offering this new referral program. Like you could give 5 friends a 2-week free trial, right? Is that how it works?
Yeah. A 2-week free trial. You have to be a current subscriber, and these have to be new subscribers that you're referring.
That's pretty sweet. Like you're just out there, just like you get a free trial. You're the Oprah of PC Game Pass. Just look under your seats.
And I mean, the deal used to be you got your first month for $1, and that way they got your credit card info and everything else. And I don't know whether or not you're going to need to enter your card info, because a lot of people are kind of squeamish about that at first. Because as we know, Microsoft especially, and nobody else in this space is that much better, they're going to turn on automatic renewal, and you got to go through the process. They make that a headache. So if that's not part of this 14-day trial, good. But even if so, you're getting it for absolutely free.
Yeah, and there's so many games on there. There's a huge assortment of games, great quality games. So it's definitely worth, like, if people have a gaming computer and they're not on, you know, PC Game Pass, this is, you know, a friend has it. Here, try it out. What do you got to lose? You know, you could get in there, you get hooked on a game or whatever, and it's a win for everybody. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that pans out, if they're shifting a lot more interest towards PC. You know, we did see recently, like, I think you sent me the article about how Sony's really happy with their PC sales of their games. So, yeah, it's a lot of things are shifting over to the PC space from the console space. So.
And that's something that Xbox adopted early. I mean, we were talking the Xbox One era. They were saying buy an Xbox One game, and for some of them, you'll also have access to it on PC.
Yeah, I always thought that was really cool. And then with the, you know, cloud saves and stuff like that, you're playing it anywhere. You're playing it at your console. You're playing it at your PC. So I thought that was really cool. So yeah, they need something to step things up. Like I said, they want to do a big game release every quarter going forward, and, you know, hopefully they don't focus too much on these quarterly deadlines and focus more on putting out a quality game.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see how things shake out. One thing Phil Spencer also did talk about real quick. He talked about the CMA's decision to block the merger. All he really said about that was, he said, the CMA decision was disappointing. I've been talking to that group for coming up on a year. They've defined a market of cloud gaming that, in my mind, doesn't really exist yet today, but they have a point of view that maybe we have a lead in a market that is just forming, and that this content could somehow prohibit others from competing in that market. So definitely sounds like the CMA is holding them up to a very high standard as a leader in the cloud-based gaming industry. So much so where they're like, all right, no more. You know, you're already like your max level.
I mean, I kind of get where Microsoft is coming from on
I
that,
do too.
I don't think that the cloud gaming world that the CMA talks about is there. I mean, the technology just hasn't seemed to be there until maybe recently, but I've not really given it a go myself.
Yeah, and even then we saw a lot of, you know, people try it and fail.
Yeah.
With like the Stadia and the Luna and these things, they tried to do the cloud gaming and they failed, and now Xbox has a monopoly on the market, not due to any, you know, trial by them. This is from everybody else's failures. Yeah, so like
competition.
Exactly. And they're offering, like, they just offered another cloud, I don't remember which cloud service, but another 10-year deal. Like, you know, here's try to appease the CMA. So yeah, I definitely disagree with the CMA regarding that. It's silly to hold up the entire merger based on a market that is pretty new, and nobody's really dipping their toes in. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Another face of this is we're hearing a lot of this "woe is me" from Microsoft right now, and we're hearing in the headlines how bad of a time they're having. And I wonder if that's going to influence the Activision Blizzard deal. They're like, "Hey, look, guys, we got to have something. You got to give this to us so that we can get back on track and be an industry leader again."
Yeah, it could be their latest move here, because it's the whole thing's been a show. It really has just been a whole spectacle. So yeah, we'll be talking about that for another 2-3 years, I'm sure. But let's move on though, shall we? You got anything else to talk about Xbox, Phil Spencer?
Now let's get off it.
All right, let's get off of Phil Spencer and move on to Apple Arcade. Believe it or not, like, I read this article today and I'm like, should I get a subscription to Apple Arcade?
Yeah.
Man, they're stepping things up over here, man. 20 brand new games are coming. They're prepping for their summer, summer release of games, and they got some bangers coming into the thing. They said today's launch boosts our award-winning catalog with 20 new games people will love playing and sharing with their friends and family. So some of those games, I'm going to list some of them. First one, I saw it and I was like, what? I got to do this. A brand new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game called Splintered Fate is on Apple Arcade. It's a co-op roguelike adventure game. What? Just dropping it right on the Apple Arcade like nothing. Another one for you, Disney Spellstruck.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's a crossword puzzles and Disney collide in this new spelling game. You've been saying you want to work on your spelling.
Oh, yeah.
And what's better to do it with Mickey? What the Car? That is from the studio behind What the Golf. So, what the...
Yeah. Apparently that's a pretty big one on there.
Cityscapes Sim Builder. Another building game. This one, you have to consider environmental impact. Interesting. And then lists here some App Store greats. Hill Climb Racing, Octodad Deadliest Catch, Farming Simulator 2, Chess Universe, Iron Marines, PPKP? PPKP? I don't know what that is, but I like saying it. Time Locker, Disney Coloring World, Very Little Nightmares. It's a smaller version of Little Nightmares. Disney Getaway Blast, Getting Over It, Kingdom, Two Crowns, My Town Home, Limbo, Snake, and Temple Run. All those classics. $5 a month, $60 annually could get you all these games. You can play them on your phone, on your iPad. You get one of those Backbones. I got one of those Backbone things. I could play my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game right on there with my little phone controller.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, there were quite a few that stood out on this list to me. Like, the Very Little Nightmares, I didn't know that there was a version of that. It might just be for Apple Arcade, but
yeah,
seems interesting. I mean, play that game. It's a really good game. Play it on your phone.
Yeah, exactly. Lose. For $5 a month for all these quality games. That's pretty impressive. I was shocked that they're really stepping up over there at this young upstart Apple company.
I wonder if they'll go places.
Yeah, probably not. Full clip. Let me tell you what makes me happy. The resurgence of 2D side-scrolling beat-em-ups. Specifically, Double Dragon Gaiden Rise of the Dragons. Now, this was just announced. Were you a fan of this style of game in your youth?
I didn't play a hell of a lot of them. I played those original TMNT games, which I think this is quite similar to.
Yes. Yeah. Double Dragon, like, that was my jam on the Nintendo. It was so much fun in the arcades. Like, it was great. And then you could just, because they introduced, like, weapons in this, where you could pick up random things and you could bonk people. And it was so simple. It's 2 buttons, This one looks amazing. It's got the same style You know, the simple pixel based side scrolling, but with a lot more to it. You know, a lot more. It's given that retro look, but there's just a lot more behind it. And then, you know, I saw these characters that I grew up playing, and I was like, okay, this is awesome. And then you see like them start doing some awesome moves, and there's really like it's just so much. It's a game that I loved, and now it's incredibly fleshed out to make it like a full title, and I was very excited for this one.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I wonder if we'll end up seeing something like another Double Dragon versus Battletoads.
Yes, Unleash the Battletoads. Yeah, I mean we're seeing a lot more of these side scrolling beat 'em ups. It's really cool to see. Like, I mean, even just I think it's like a great way to have these specifically like movie based games. We saw there was an awesome Scott Pilgrim side scroller. They did a Clerks one, or maybe it was just a Jay and Silent Bob one, and then there was like a Cobra Kai one, and it's really cool that it's just like it's everything's half assed, but like how do you mess these up?
Yeah. Yeah, late 80s, early 90s are having a little bit of a resurgence right now.
Absolutely, yeah, and I'm here for it. So, yeah, this one, it looks cool. You got the return of Billy and Jimmy Lee as they take on their enemies. And then Marianne joins the fray, and Uncle Mateen is like a new guy with a giant shield. That guy looked really cool. So, yeah, I'm excited for this one. I don't know when it's coming out, but it is coming to all the consoles and PC sometime in 2023. So keep an eye out for Double Dragon. All right, let me tell you another thing that makes me happy. Starship Troopers. More specifically, a Starship Troopers video game.
Oh, yeah.
Are you a fan of the Starship Troopers?
It's been a long time since I saw it, but, I was surprised to hear that it was kind of a cult classic film.
Yeah, dude. Watch it again. It still holds up.
Yeah.
I was one of those I watched recently, and I was like, man, this like even the CGI is still good and everything.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, when I saw this headline, I had to immediately go to YouTube and watch like a 15-minute little retrospective on the movie. Didn't know this, but it's from '97, but it was some of the special effects were made by Industrial Light and Magic, and they are the masters of special effects. So yeah, like you look at it today, and it stands up fairly well. I mean, as good as anything else from '97.
Yeah, it was like it was an introduction to a young Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah, but aside from Doogie Howser.
Yeah. Intergender locker rooms, like that's a thing now.
Yes, I watched that scene a lot.
Yeah, sure. But now we get to play it in a video game. It's something I've always wanted to do. So this is going to be, it's PC only. It's a co-op first-person shooter, but it sounds really awesome. So it's just coming into early access now. May 17th is when it was announced to kick off, and it's expected to last for about a year. And they're going to be introducing new things. It's going to be very like a slow build to the full release of the game. So right now it's going to be simple, just gameplay. And then, they'll just keep adding more and more stuff. But what's the coolest thing? It's like, so you have a team of 16 people cooperating to try to kill these bugs. And there's different classes. There's an assault class, a support class, and a defense class. And either you're out there shooting the bugs, or you're helping to build like the base and the walls, or you're out there like healing people. And the idea of it sounds awesome. And Absolutely. I'm really, really excited to see if this can be awesome.
Yeah, and I liked reading about this early access phase. The developers were saying, we want to put it out in early access so it's cheap. You're not going to get the full finished experience, but they're going to keep adding on to the game. This is how early access works in general, but they don't always put it out a little bit cheaper, and then they do plan to raise the price so that by the time it does come out, it's going to be a more premium experience for a higher, more money. But I appreciated hearing that that's the plan for this, and they're not just going to leave it in early access for 5 years like some games do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It looks awesome. I love the base building aspect. I love the first person shooter. Gives me a lot of Halo vibes.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I thought the same thing when I saw this. And I agree. Like the early access idea, where I think it's going to be like 25 or something when it first comes out, and then as it fleshes out, they'll be adding more a higher cost. My only thing is that I'm really hopeful that this plays on the Steam Deck, because that's what I want to do. Just sit there and just and I could see myself doing any of those 3 tasks. Less the base building. That's my least intriguing one. But I like the healing. I want to shoot some bugs, but I'd be fine building some bases. Just give me a task, I'll do it. A good bug, a dead bug is a good bug. The only
good bug is a dead bug.
Yeah. So hopefully May 17th comes around and that is a playable Steam Deck game, because I'll be playing a lot of that. I would assume. All right, that brings us to the end of all the news that I have here. Do you have anything else that you'd like to talk about?
Nothing else. We've done it all.
Damn, we did it all for the Nookie. Remember that classic?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Thanks for checking out this episode of Gaming News Weekly. My name is Erect the Red. This gentleman here is Full Clip. You can find us posting video game clips over on Fruit Lab. It's a cool website where you could earn money by watching and playing video games. What else? I'm on YouTube, Pop Culture Playground. You can find this show there. You can find other shows there. All sorts of good stuff. You can find Full Clip over at GameFAQs, GAMEFAX on the YouTubes. Also at Twitch. What is he? Full Clip _FL over on the Twitch. And you can also check us out anywhere podcasts are found. You can listen to the audio version of this show. You're missing out on the cool trailers that are included in this and our handsome faces. But if you need it on the go, what better way than through a podcast? You don't have to mess with compact discs or cassette tapes any longer. This is the future. Podcasts.
Download the MP3 today.
Exactly. Yeah. Go hit up LimeWire and just type in Gaming News Weekly. And then head over to TikTok and find all the cool stuff that we're talking about over there before it gets banned in the United States. That's it, right? Did I get everything?
That's it.
Bam! Man, I did it in one. I didn't even have to look at my notes. All right. I got to get back to playing some Doki Doki Literature Club. It's calling me. All right. Let's pack it in. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.